the despot Don Draw.
And, I guess kind of mediocre. I helped my sister move yesterday, which is cool. So she's not around anymore, which is a good thing. It's good to see her go out on her own. So she has a place in downtown Toronto now. Something like that. So I didn't really have anything planned for this stream. I'm home by myself, so I figured I might as well do one. So we can do pretty much whatever. If people want, if there's something like a video someone wants me to do an endure of, or something like that, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just take questions, I guess, from the chat. Now, what should I? Who should I play as? So I've done most of the Yellow Turbans. They're actually my favorite faction to play as out of the ones. The Coalition aren't bad. And the Governors aren't bad. I haven't tried playing as the Outlaws yet, but they're very hard. So I haven't really wanted to try playing as them. Or I can just play my current campaign, I guess. So let's see if there's any suggestions in the chat. Nope, not yet. So let's see here. I actually haven't played as Cao Cao yet. I haven't played as Liu Bei yet. I guess because they were kind of obvious. Oh, Sauron47 says, I really enjoyed your Evangelion commentaries. Thank you, my good man. I enjoyed doing those. I want to do a series, Play der Konisgazer March whilst playing. Okay. I'm not sure what that is exactly. Maybe I'll try playing as Liu Bei, because I think Liu Bei is, like, overpowered.
Liu Bei sees chaos in the face of Don Draw, and will not rest until the time.
Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate. If you have any like Evangelion questions, feel free. This is just me like screwing around. So if you want to like ask anything further that I didn't to expand on anything that I didn't cover in those.
China is in turmoil. The great empire of the Han, stretching back ages beyond counting,
Okay.
is being devoured by corruption.
Yeah, if there's anything people want me to do an endure of or a commentary on or something like that.
Raising their banners in rebellion.
Oh, okay. It's a German marching song. Okay.
In response, generals
You should do more anime reviews. You review of Goblin Slayer.
and put down the rebellion.
Yeah, once again, I don't like to promise this, but so I found out, I was doing some research. How it works for reviews is if you get copyright claimed, they hold the revenue from it until.
Fight the victory.
Oh, it's so lame. This takes so long to load, by the way.
At the very heart of the empire, the loyal generals stormed the imperial palace and killed the 10
Okay, what was I thinking? I'm just gonna have to mute that just because it's really obnoxious. Yeah, so what I found out is if you have to, if you file a copy, like a contest, then the ad revenue that's collected in the meantime sits in a separate account. So if you win the appeal, then you get the ad revenue from the duration of the time period where they've done the appeal. So that's kind of good. Because my issue is always like if a review blows up and I get like a bunch of views on it, or even just over time. I know it's like views. I don't want to be Mr. Views, but if I'm going to go to the trouble of like making like an edited review or something, because those take a while, I'd like to be able to get ad revenue from it. I actually made, I forget how much money I made off of those Game of Thrones reviews, because they kind of blew up. Oh, let me just, so. Yeah, so this is Total Three Kingdoms Total War. I was kind of on the fence about whether or not to get this. because I really hate the engine. Um, I I've never liked this engine. Okay, let me see if I can turn this. I haven't liked it since they introduced it. I just think it looks like shit. That's kind of my biggest issue with it. Like, I just don't think the detail on this looks very good. I kind of feel like the older engine looked a lot better. This just kind of has like this is kind of like, you know, the joke they had for the what was it, the Xbox games, how all of them were just like gray and brown. I find this kind of looks like that. Oh, okay. But Nintendo Cinematic Universe, yay or nay? It's a good question. I wonder who would play Link and who would play Zelda. Poll in the chat, because Zelda's had every hair color over the years. She's had like bright blonde, red, and like dirty blonde. What preference do people have? I kind of like the dirty blonde myself. My favorite Zelda is from Twilight Princess era. But there's been a variety over time. Let's see, growing might. Zelda has never had black hair. She's had kind of brownish hair before. Open mic or not. We can do open mic if people want to. I might just give it a couple minutes if a bunch of people ask. I kind of like the dark blonde, to be honest. Secure loyalty through respect and actions. Okay, let's see here. Lupe. Let us discuss things now. Yeah, so Total War 3 Kingdoms, I kind of have a mixed feelings about. Because on one hand, it's nice to have a new Total War game. I don't like how they've done the economy system post Shogun 2. I really don't like it. But on the other hand, I feel that combat has gotten much, much better since Rome 2. Rome 2 had absolutely atrocious combat. Even like the patch version of it is still unbelievably crappy. So that sucked. What else was I going to say? Well, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a minute. Yeah, so the combat's a lot better. The unit diversity is much better than it has been for the last couple games. My biggest complaint though is I understand there's two modes in this. There's like realism and there's romance. And my issue isn't really because I kind of like having the romance, like the super powerful general characters. I just find they went way overboard with them. So there's battles in this game where I've won, and I've defeated their army except for their generals, and their generals will kill my entire army basically by themselves. And that just kind of irritates me. I kind of think that's a flaw in the game. What books would you recommend on learning China history? The only ones I can really think of is Mao the Unknown Story is really good, and Twilight in the Heavenly Kingdom, or yeah, I forget if it's Twilight in the Heavenly Kingdom or Autumn in the Heavenly Kingdom, about the Taiping Rebellion. Also, Puyi's autobiography is very good. The thing about Puyi's autobiography you just have to keep in mind though is it's very, very obvious that he wrote a lot of it under duress, or not necessarily under duress, but it's very obvious that like someone from the Chinese Communist Party edited it really heavily, because it says very strongly in it that the happiest time in his life was after he got out of jail when he was working as a gardener and a street sweeper. Which is probably true, actually. That probably was the happiest time in his life. He became a much, much better person. Is Trudeau still flailing around with the Lavalin scandal? I haven't really heard much about it for a while. I think what the conservatives are planning, if they're smart, is we're pretty sure Trudeau's the philanderer. Like, we're pretty sure he's like, there's all kinds of like affairs he's had over the years, and that hasn't been brought up yet. So I think they're saving that for when we get closer to the election, and they're gonna pull that on him, which will be good considering he like his entire focus has been on feminism. So I think that could be a really good idea. Let's see, unity. Okay, so no. How do I form a coalition? Negotiate. Pokemon and Sword and Shield will probably have 5 Muslim gym masters. Maybe, maybe. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna grab my sleeping pills. Yeah, I need my sleeping pills tonight. It's it's been a really trying couple of weeks. It's been a very trying couple of weeks. I have a really good chance of getting a new job. I did the interview. I've done a whole bunch of other stuff, and so it's quite likely that I could get this one, and that would mean a raise. That would mean a much better work environment. I'd get a promotion, so I'd go up a rung in my industry. So I'm waiting on that, and I'm waiting to hear back from the grad school I applied to. So, God willing, I'll start doing a part time online master's degree, which will probably take me like 3 years or 4 years to do. But master degrees, I think, are generally worth it if you get it in something like half decent. I mean, it depends. Like, some degrees, like, there's a lot of jobs where, like, having a degree in, like, a master's degree in economics or something like that is actually very helpful. I see a lot of job postings and stuff that ask about things like that. Let me see here. What was I looking at? How is working on the dissident rights survey doing? I haven't forgotten about that. Just what's been going on lately is my parents like renovated half of the house. Work's just been insane, and my sister was moving. And my sister moving has just was like a really long, slow process. But she's out of the house now, so hopefully I can get back to. Oh, it's just showing a black screen. Let me see. That's probably because I have it minimized. Let's see if remaximizing it helps. Okay, there we go. It looks like it's going back on screen, maybe. Let's see here. Nicholas Rodian says, "I love that you how you covered the 2016 election results live, and I love. Let's see here. Let me just play around with this. And I love that when you cover election results, can you cover more election results? I covered some election results the other day. I did do the European election as that came in. So if you want to go back a little bit, I had Matt Forney and a couple other people on, and so I did cover that, and that was fun. We'll see if I'm gonna try to be home for the Canadian election. I will do my best. I'm not sure if I'll be busy with something that day, but if I am around for the Canadian election, I will definitely do a live stream covering that. Because that'll be fun. The fun thing about Canadian elections is they're over really fast. Canada has a very, very efficient vote counting system, so it generally doesn't take very long. It's generally just like an hour or two before we get all the results in. It's a lot more efficient than the US one. I think part of it is just because in America, a lot more positions are elected, whereas very few positions are elected in Canada. Try to figure out what the issue is. Why is it not letting me do this? What are your thoughts on the YouTuber Culture Thug? I like Culture Thug. Culture Thug is I've watched a lot of his stuff. He does really good videos. I greatly enjoy a lot of it. No, I like Culture Thug. I don't know if I really have much else to say about that, but no, I've always liked him. Why is this not capturing? Is it because I have this in windowed mode? Would it capture better if I had this in... There we go. There we go. Favorite visual novels. I honestly haven't played very many visual novels. I'd like to play more. The only one I've ever actually played all the way through was Tsukihime, which I should probably do a review on at some point because I did really enjoy Tsukihime. I've never been able to get through Fate Stay Night. I've tried multiple times, but it's so long. And Emiya is such an unlikable like, I just find him really obnoxious. I hate him. I really hate Archer. I just don't like a lot of the... I don't like the non-female characters in Fate Emiya. Play Starless. I think, what other visual novels? Oh yeah, you know what I have to review? I just binge watched One Punch Man. I just got through One Punch Man. People have been asking me to do that forever. And when I was at Anime North, I went to a... Okay, link to my Discord, sure. I'm actually on Discord a lot, so I'm kind of... It's hard for... I don't really like using like a bunch of different communication means. That's why I normally use my YouTube like channel posts as Twitter, because like it's a pain, and I don't like to ask people to follow me on like 5 different things. I'm not insulting people who do that. I'm just saying I just don't like doing that. So but yeah, so when I was at Anime North, they had a panel on One Punch Man. So I watched the whole thing in like 2 days, and I really liked it. I hope they do a season 2. Is there a season 2? I didn't see a season 2 on Netflix, but I hope they do another one. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Let me see what other animes, because I was trying to watch a bunch of anime just because I was going to Anime North. So let me just look at my Google Drive. I got through Kaze no Stigma, which I actually liked a lot. It's nice whenever you find an anime where the main character isn't like a total pussy. So I got through that and I liked that a lot. I watched Batum, which is kind of like, it was okay. It wasn't great. The girl in it was really attractive, which was kind of the only good part of Batum. Casher and Sins I couldn't get through. It was like the most depressing thing I've ever seen. What else was I watching? I think I was watching Ghost Sick. Was I? I'm trying to remember. I think I was. I think I got through that actually. I have to remember what Ghost Sick was though. Oh yeah, yeah, I got through Gosick. I really like Gosick. That was a really good anime. Let's see here. I had just forgotten which it was. Just because anime ones are really weird. The names, like, because they often just don't really make sense when they get translated. So yeah, I like Kaze no Stigma a lot. I liked Gosick a lot. I have a bunch of other ones I need to get through. I was rewatching Witch Hunter Robin because I haven't seen that since like the '90s or whenever it first aired. I was rewatching Vision of Escaflowne. EXO, do we know when Goblin Slayer season 2 is coming out? Actually, so recently what I got because I finished both because I have like a commute I have to I have a fairly long commute, so that's why I have a Switch. So I recently got through Breath of the Wild and both what are they called again? Valkyria Chronicles 1 and 4. So I got through both of those. So the next thing I want to do is go through is I got Disgaea 1, so I've been playing Disgaea 1. And it's not bad. It's not bad. It's similar to kind of other games. It's not as good as Fire Emblem, obviously, but it's better than a lot of other games I've played. Uh, the best strategy game that's like that with like changing jobs or changing classes was Tactics Ogre: The Night of Lotus. Let me see how much Tactics Ogre: The Night of Lotus is because I still have the original box for that. I would not be surprised if Tactics Ogre: The Night of Lotus is okay. Yeah, Tactics Ogre: Night of Lotus is $120 on eBay for the complete set. But no, Tactics Ogre: Night of Lotus was amazing. I'd recommend playing it on emulator. It's a more, I guess you could say, RPG ish version of Fire Emblem. Similar to Fire Emblem, but a long time. Because I played every Fire Emblem game since Fire Emblem 7 was released in North America. I did not like Final Fantasy Tactics very much. I don't know why. I've just never been a fan of it. I don't know if it's the story. I don't know if there's a Square Enix game I've ever liked. Or wait, did Square Enix make the Deus Ex games, like the new Deus Ex games? I'm trying to remember. The Fire Emblem games are also like really based. Like in Fire Emblem Awakening, it's like a theocratic monarchy called the Haeldom. Is their form of government, and there's like an exalt. Is the name of the king, and in I like how in Awakening and Fates, how many marriage options there were. I like how all the romance trees ended in marriage, which was very wholesome. Like they didn't just go into like some like degenerate common law relationship. They always got married and they had children, and it was just very wholesome. I really like the new Deus Ex games. Deus Ex Human Revolution was really good. It's something I didn't like at the time when it first came out, but I replayed it I think last year, and I absolutely loved it and I thought it was great. I think I just had less patience for that kind of thing a lot, so I'm used to games we have to be conservative with ammo. So I just like I had so much ammo by the end of the game I had to like not take ammo because I had just collected so much of it. But no, that game was great. I loved the Deus Ex games were both excellent. I think Human Revolution was better than Mankind Divided. My issue with Mankind Divided is I just didn't like the cast. I liked the cast a lot more in Human Revolution. I also just thought the setting was better. I liked how you were the head of security for that one company. Uh, except I just like the setting more. I also like the. I'm a big fan of Art Deco. Like I really like the gold. I always think that looks really nice. So I really like the artwork, and I didn't really mind the gold tinge. I actually like the gold tinge. A lot of people complained about that, but I liked it. I think it's aged very well. It also looks really good. Both of the Deus Ex games look excellent. They've I think they've aged really well. I haven't played the old school ones. It's just I admit because I kind of suck at video games. I like video games, but I suck at them. What was I thinking of again? The Deus Ex. The old ones are they're just too old for me. When are you doing another video with Serp? Eventually, it's not that we don't want to. It's just we both work jobs that often require really long uh, hours and but kind of irregular hours. And also, there's a bit of a time zone difference between us, and that can make things difficult. It's not that we don't like doing streams together. It's just it's difficult with people with different time zones. Oh wait a minute, I can just annex. Oh, I can use Unity to just annex. Oh yeah, I forgot that's what you get as Lube. Do a video on the Ukraine conflict. Okay, can do. I'll get Serp to come on sometime and we'll do a video about that. I don't really want to do one on my own because he just covers it much better and he knows a lot about it. By the way, let me just post a link to his channel. There's not very many people here, but I might as well shill. He's putting out part 2 of his series, The Collapse. If you haven't seen The Collapse, I'd recommend watching it. Yeah, Serp and I are really good friends outside of YouTube. I've known him for a long time before he started doing YouTube. He actually got into it. I'm sure he'd admit to it. Largely because of my influence. He was the big one who wanted me to publish No Chance. He was very adamant that I should. No, he's a great guy. He's a really weird dude. Actually, it's funny because I when I called him a weird dude, I said, "You're a fucking weird dude." And he was like, "This is like the greatest compliment I've ever received." And he like made it his Facebook status. Which was pretty funny. Valiant defeat. Really? Why would I have valiant defeat? I have numerical superiority. Oh, I'll try starting them. Oh, okay. So they didn't counterattack against me.
Truth has won out today. We must lay foundations if we are to rebuild.
Okay, there we go, Unity. Your economy grows. Good. So let's just repair and keep going. Is there any time where what's that? It's Shield something? That new anime that people keep telling me to watch. I think it's like Shield something. I forget what it's called. Shield Guardian? Yeah, I think it's Shield Guardian. I is there going to be a dub at some point for it? Because I'll watch it when the dub comes out. It's just I normally watch anime like when I'm playing a game like this because I have my two monitors set up and I like to do them both at the same time. Shield Hero, that's what it's called. And yeah, so that's the reason I haven't watched it yet. When a dub comes out, I will definitely watch it. Why can't I make? Oh, I have to be Marquez. Okay. Have you played Quake Champions Doom Edition? No, that's kind of too old. It's kind of after my cutoff date. Someone was asking me about Halo. Yeah, I regard Halo 1 as being like one of the greatest shooters of all time. Definitely one of the most innovative shooters of all time. It completely changed the genre. Um, it dramatically changed it for the better. I remember the time that I first saw what was it called again? When I first played Halo, I was just so engaged. I just thought it was like the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And I think it holds up really well. Halo 1 is an amazing game. Halo 2 is not as good. I don't know. I just felt the gameplay kind of got a bit worse. I also felt that the next two didn't really have the atmosphere. Thoughts on Half-Life? My issue with Half-Life is, like, as you guys know, I'm kind of just contrarian. So just the amount of praise people get is... It just kind of made me dislike it. Because that was a time in my life when I really wasn't in that kind of thing. I wasn't really into first-person shooters. I was more into, like, strategy games. I've grown to like first-person shooters a lot more over time, but I liked it, but I kind of hated the people who said it was the greatest game of all time. I think was my issue. I also didn't like Halo back in the day because, well, I was a Nintendo fanboy back then. I guess it's kind of funny because I went from being a Nintendo fanboy to hating Nintendo to liking Nintendo again. So I've kind of gone back and forth over time. But yeah, so I go back and forth on that whole thing on Nintendo. But Halo used to be a jock game. I know that is really weird, like if you think about it now. But like all the football players, like and all the Chads used to just be massive Halo fans. What was like just it was just the big thing. It's really interesting actually. Halo's actually become a lot more kind of like nerdy, and they've really developed the lore. Like there used to be like no lore for Halo, but now there's a ton of lore, and I enjoy a lot of it. It's I think it's a good game series. It's developed a lot of heart over time. The Fall of Reach book was really good. I got it because I listened to a lot of books because as I've said I commute my commute's fairly long, so I listened to a lot of books on Audible, and The Fall of Reach was the daily deal one day, so I picked it up, and I really liked The Fall of Reach. It was one of the yeah. New Halo sucks though. Yeah, Halo lore is something I'd like to get a bit more into. I mean, Star Wars is dead, so I kind of need to get into lore on some other stuff. The problem with Dune lore is I know quite a bit about it, but it's very like because the book series is old and there's debatable as to whether or not the new books are canon. I think they're canon. I'm like the only person who likes the new books. Everybody else I've ever met doesn't like the new books. I like them. I like the Butlerian Jihad trilogy a lot. I like the prequel House books. I've never got into Sandworms or Hunters of Dune. I didn't really like the far future ones, like the post Golden Path ones,
Fear no one.
like Heretics of Dune or Chapter House. I didn't think either of those were like. It's not that they were bad. I just didn't think they were like that good. Maybe is I guess kind of the way to put it. Yeah, Sandworms of yeah. Halo 4 I didn't think was that bad. I kind of liked Halo 4. It wasn't a bad little game. I let's see here.
Do not mourn.
The Halo saga. I admit, and this is gonna like I'm gonna lose half my subscribers base for saying this. I'm not a big Warhammer 40k fan. I get that it's supposed to be retarded. I get that that's kind of like it's supposed to be like a meme game, but I just don't really like it that much. It's okay. It's too much of a meme for me. So I'm sure I've just lost like half of my viewer base for saying that, but it's just like it's all right, I guess. It's just never been something I like that much. I like the original Dawn of War games, but the sequels were shit. I hated the sequels. I thought Dawn of War 2 was bad. And I saw Dawn of War 3 was actually I never played Dawn of War 3. It looks terrible. I think there's like interesting aspects about it. It's yeah, there's too much lore and I just find it super depressing. Like I find it like unplayably depressing. That's kind of like my big complaint about it. It's so grim. It's the thing I like the most about it is how much of it is a reference to Dune. Because like everything in 40k is basically a reference to Dune, from the Golden Lion Throne. The Space Marines are based on the Sardaukar. Just a lot of the Frank Herbert kind of invented. I'm not sure what it's called, like space feudalism or something, but that was kind of like something he came up with. So yeah, always been a huge Frank Herbert fan. Actually, it's cool because that was my dad's a pretty great guy, but he was really into James Bond, Star Trek, and Dune. So I have like all his books from like the 70s or whatever when he read them as a kid. So I used his copy to read them, and I always thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, yeah, I like those a lot. Good stuff. Let's see marketplace. I want to generate commerce income. I don't want to boost my commerce income. There's enough stuff that already boosts our commerce income. Neo feudalism, yeah. Star Trek. Star Trek is one of those things that I used to like and now I don't like anymore. I still watch it if it's on TV sometimes. I'm like the only person who kind of liked Voyager. Most people really hated Voyager. I didn't really get why it was so much worse than like the other Star Trek series. Deep Space Nine is a really like is a mixed bag because in some ways it's the best Star Trek, but I don't like most of the secondary characters. So yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings about Deep Space Nine. What are your thoughts on the Pro Jared situation? I don't really have too many thoughts. I always thought he was kind of a dick. I never really liked his content very much. It's not really something I watched a great deal. Let me think. What else was there? Yeah, if you guys want to know, like, the YouTubers I watch the most, actually, the YouTube channel I probably watch the most is called Clint's Reptiles. And he does, like, reptile care videos, and he does, like, reviews of how different reptiles are, keeping them as pets. And I really like that. I don't know, a couple of years ago, I just got really interested in reptiles. I just find them really kind of fascinating, like, cool creatures. So that's kind of, I watch a lot of his stuff. I guess it's kind of one of the main things I watch these days. Let's see. Actually, I need to turn this into a food production area. Based reptile care brids. We are fascinating, cool. Thanks, bro. Yeah, if you want to look up Clint's Reptiles, the guy who does it kind of acts like he's on drugs a lot of the time, but he does a lot of good review videos. Here, I'll post a link to his channel. Snake Discovery is also a really good one. I really enjoy Snake Discovery's videos. Dr. Creepins I really like. I kind of got back into creepypasta. I really kind of like the longer creepypasta series. Like a couple I got through recently, Tales from the Gas Station, which I actually did a review of, I really liked. The Patient That Almost Drove Me Out of Medicine was really good. That was like one of the few, I'd say, like legitimately scary ones. The Patient That Almost Drove Me Out of Medicine. Tommy Taffy. No, Tommy Taffy is like the most legitimately terrifying thing I've ever seen. Tommy Taffy is like, oh, that was really creepy. I especially like that they got Dr. Creepins to be the voice of Tommy Taffy because he has a really good voice. So yeah, Tales from the Gas Station is really good. That's really good. I'm trying to think if there's some other good ones. The Left Right game was okay. I don't like short creepypastas. I like the ones that are like a serial. So I Hired a Hitman was another one that was like that I really enjoyed. Who else do I like? I used to be a fan of Nightmind, but I lost a lot of respect for him over House of Leaves because of how much he loved House of Leaves. Because I thought House of Leaves was garbage. Like it really, House of Leaves, fuck. I was not a fan of how much he praised it, and I found his like videos on it were like super douchey and obnoxious. Because I actually got House of Leaves because he said it's like the greatest book ever, and I tried reading it and it was just like the most. It was just like the most pretentious things ever. I'm going through a bunch of Dean Koontz books at the moment. If you want like based horror stories, Dean Koontz is like a very devout Catholic, and I think he's like a Republican. So almost all of his stories, like the characters use their Christian faith to triumph and that kind of thing. But it's not like lame. Like lots of people get killed. He has like it's legitimate like real horror. That's I guess kind of the thing I really like about it. It's not something lame like Left Behind or that sort of nonsense. But yeah, Dean Koontz books are really good. Jolly Crocodile said the Left Right game had a good premise. My issue with the Left Right game is halfway through it, they abandon the premise of it, and it just becomes like more of a standard horror thing, and it just kind of breaks down. Let's see, the Left Right game had a good premise. Yeah, Mario plus Rabbids was the other game I recently played. I really liked Mario plus Rabbids, actually. I was not expecting to like it, but it was really fun. I enjoyed it. There's Mario plus Rabbits. I'm trying to remember.
Let us discuss things now.
Yeah, this is the new Total War game. Actually, my favorite faction is I really like the Yellow Turbans. They're more in line with my playstyle than a lot of the other factions are. Thoughts on Cthulhu Mythos / H.P. Lovecraft? Lovecraft is good. It's just I've never been a big fan of short stories, so
Destiny awaits.
it kind of depends. There's a story that's not written by him, but that's really good that I recommend called Colder War, which is a Cold War in which it's more of a novella. It's not really a short story. It's because it's fairly long, but Colder War is where the Mounds of Madness expedition happened, and let me think. The Mounds of Madness expedition happened, and it became widely known. So you have the Cold War, but with Lovecraftian stuff. So like the Russians have Cthulhu. They have Cthulhu basically in a like contained in the Ukraine or something, and the the Iraqis were trying to resurrect someone, and the Russians had like deployed Shoggoths in Afghanistan. I'm kind of sad it wasn't longer. It was kind of like a novella or a novelette or whatever, like the shortest non-short story is. And I really wished it had been a bit more substantial, because I think you could have done a lot more with the premise. It does answer the age-old question, though, although I think Derelith had a different take on it, whether or not a nuclear weapon would kill Cthulhu. In that the nuclear weapons did not kill Cthulhu, I think a nuclear weapon would kill Cthulhu, because Cthulhu is still a physical being, and I just can't see anything surviving a nuke. I just think a nuke would die. Jolly Crocodile says Psychosis and Pill Mills. Yeah, Psychosis and pills are both good. My issue is Pill Mills just a bit ends very, very abruptly. Yeah, Call of Cthulhu is a good story. That's one of the better ones. I like Fungi from Yuggoth a lot. Just because there's a version of it I listened to once that had like music and stuff. It's pretty good as like poetry. It's like poetry they rhyme, that kind of a thing. If you haven't played it, the game Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth is really good. I really loved Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. I played it on stream once. It's hard and the mechanics of it are really difficult, but in terms of just incorporating a lot of Lovecraft lore in kind of a nice package, I thought it was really good. I have not played the new Call of Cthulhu game. I don't know if it's any good. I know that they're coming out with Vampire the Masquerade 2, which I'm very pleasantly surprised by, because I love Vampire the Masquerade. I think it was one of the best video games ever made. Definitely one of the best RPGs ever made. Just in terms of the lore and the depth, etc. I wish there was more like games based on RPGs like that. World of Darkness is such a fascinating. That's another lore video I want to do at some time. Like on the Camarilla and the Sabbat, and do some like Vampire the Masquerade lore. I just have to do a lot more research, because I've never actually played the game, like the tabletop game. It's a tabletop game I'd like to play actually a lot. It's a very fascinating world. Something that kind of irritates me is there was going to be the people who made EVE Online were making World of Darkness, the MMO, and I think that would be pretty good. I think it would actually be not a bad game for an MMO. Most MMOs are shit, though. I mean, there's a reason why World of Warcraft has endured so long, is because it just has a large player base. Like, they're all very similar quality-wise. The only MMO I've played other than WoW for any extended period of time was SWTOR. And that was just because, or Knights, or just the Old Republic Online. And that was because you could play the single player mode and you didn't have to interact with other people. And it was a legitimate BioWare. It was the last thing that was made by old school BioWare.
Our warriors run! Craven dogs!
Yeah, there was no chance I was going to win this battle. I'm just vastly, vastly outnumbered and outgunned. But I was trying to do as much damage as possible. Oh, it's funny. You point out, okay, Scudum talks about body horror. Okay, fun fact, Sir Kerp, a.k.a. Nazbol Gang, is obsessed with body horror. It's like, it's his big thing. He'll watch any movie that has body horror in it. Like, regardless of quality. Like, if you tell him a movie has body horror, he'll watch it. I don't know why that's the case. He's a weird fucking dude. He's a great guy, but he's a fucking weird dude.
Spearman, attend! Attend me, Spearman!
BattleTech. I don't know much about it. Robotech Battlecry is I think one of the best games ever made. I have it for GameCube, and I absolutely loved Robotech Battlecry. I thought it was just so good on every level. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. I don't really like Caesar's Legion. I don't really get why people like them that much. I sided with NCR. Like, it was back when I was like more of a normie conservative. But I never really got why the NCR was that bad, to be honest. Robotech Battlecry, just like, it has great music, great gameplay. It has a lot of heart in terms of the story. I just really liked it. It was a franchise I kind of wished had gone on further. But for like a game of that era, it was excellent. There's a bunch of like GameCube games that I don't think received enough attention. I don't know if anyone here knows about Baden Kaitos. Baden Kaitos was really good. Both Baden Kaitos 1 and the sequel. Baden Kaitos Origins is like one of the hardest games I've ever seen that actually got a Western release. Baden Kaitos Origins is like brutally difficult. Baden Kaitos wasn't that difficult. I do really like it. A lot. Yeah, Eternal Darkness is I never really got too far in Eternal Darkness. I don't know, it's just a bit dated for me. Definitely an interesting. Let's see here. The scariest video game I've ever played has got to be Outlast. I couldn't play Outlast. Outlast was too scary. It's one of the only things I've ever found too scary to play. I found Outlast terrifying. Do you endorse Justin Trudeau for PM? No, I endorse Andrew Scheer. I'll do a video closer to it why I support Andrew Scheer. Justin Trudeau is the worst. Justin Trudeau is the worst Prime Minister Canada's ever had. He's like one of the worst leaders a Western country has ever had. It's funny. I don't know if I ever said it, but my parents are kind of like center right, I guess you could say. Like they normally just vote. They've I think always voted conservative, and my father like calls himself a red Tory, um, which in Canada is kind of like a big brain centrist. Of kind of Canada, but he really, really, really hates Justin Trudeau. Like he despises him, and he's a very like he's a much better person than I am. Like he's just a lot kinder and less judgmental. But the thing that he hates about Justin Trudeau is whenever there's a like a family has like a tragedy, like someone gets killed or like a house burns down or someone has cancer, he will show up at like the funeral and like cry on camera and stuff as like a way to like to get to make himself look better. um a blue dog Democrat, more like I guess you could say Rockefeller Republican, I guess would kind of be more what it is. But he just really hates that. um because he's a man who's done a lot for like the community. I don't want to get into too much detail, but he's done a lot for the community and he's helped a lot of people's lives with his career. And just to see somebody take advantage of people's pain that way really bothers him. And I think it's really sleazy too. It's you can say what you want about Mr. Harper, and I always call him Mr. Harper because I have a lot of respect for him as like a person. But he never did any of that shit. The most he would do is like if a tragedy happened, he might call the family and like just give like privately give them his condolences or be like I'm really sorry to hear that, that kind of thing. But he would never acted like how Justin Trudeau does with going to events. And he's just a massive cunt. I just Justin Trudeau. Oh, he is the worst. Trump is gonna make Gamergate great again. Well, he's gonna tweet about Gamergate. The problem with like as I've said, the biggest problem with Sargon is that he's a smug cunt. If Sargon would like not be smug about stuff, people would like him a lot more. And because he's like, he just takes shots at people and he makes it personal when it doesn't need to be personal. Like when he went to the EU Parliament and he did like Suitgate happened. Like there was no reason for him to take a shot at Jim there. There was absolutely no reason for him to say, I bet Jim doesn't even have a suit. Like how did that help him? What purpose did that serve other than make him look like an asshole? Like Jim is a professional troll. I think people just have to keep this in mind. Jim is fundamentally, I know he kind of just goes back and forth on this and he's very dishonest about it, but Jim is a troll. He uses tactical nihilism. Jim is a tactical nihilist. You just can't. That sort of thing doesn't work with him. You can't really put him down like and use any kind of morality against him because he just doesn't. Jim is a very bad person. Jim is not a good person. I don't know if people like actually think he is or something like that, but he is, and a lot of people make the mistake of thinking he's their friend. And Jim is no one's friends. No one's friend. Which, I don't know. Like I said, that's kind of why I think he's an asshole. The whole, oh, internet friends aren't real friends. That thing. Of course, like, I don't see why internet friends are not friends. Like, I've made friends over the internet. They know who I am. I know who they are. I've met a lot of them in real life. Before. Some of them I've known for years, and I've like given money to, and that sort of thing. When they were having financial trouble, I don't get why it's so bad.
The pieces fall into place.
Well, just part of it is Jim just kind of gets friendly with people like Ralph or Tonka or a lot of the other people, and then he just kind of pulls out a video, and it just completely fucks them, and that just seems to happen a lot with people who have dealings with him. Yeah, Ralph did implode, but I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a cop out, and it's kind of lame when Jim's like, "Oh, I'm not friends with this person. I just hang out with them constantly, and I spend all this time with them." But no, it's not. We're not friendly. Like, we're not actual friends. And then, like, the first chance he gets to kind of throw them under the bus, he does. So I mean, like, it's fine to like Jim. It's okay. Like him for who and what he is, but just keep in mind he's no one's friend. The people I know him say it's like 50% him. It's 50% him playing up his persona, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on the dude. That's just how I feel. That's my feels on the matter. Oh, let's see. I might as well just upgrade my soldiers because I don't know what else to spend money on at the moment. I thought Ralph improved in Ditch Warsky. Maybe he did. I just stopped following that whole thing because it was just so fucking boring. Like, that was just kind of my issue with it. It's just so much of it was so lame. Let's see, income from peasantry. Confirm.
Seek opportunities and act upon them.
The Tonka redemption arc was really lame. Well, I don't even know if there's a Tonka redemption arc, but it's just no one cares about Tonka anymore. Like, no one gives two shits about him, which is probably a good thing. Tonka is a shitty person. Um, Worski is like such a fuck. You know when I changed my mind on Worski? Is Worski started criticizing, did like a stream, and in it he was criticizing Jim for being too hard on furries. And I kind of started to hate Worski after that. Because he's just like, oh, Jim's so hard on furries. I'm like, well, furries are shit. Fuck furries. Furries are scum. I don't go on the animal control board on 4chan. It's sorry, on Kiwi Farms. It just looks too much. Let's see, Lube. I'll marry this QT. Okay. So she is now Liu Bei's waifu. So oh, she's 31. Oops. Okay, well, whatever. Maybe they can have at least one child. Let's see. I'll make him governor of there. And I'll make him governor of yeah, so with regards to the whole Warski thing, I talked about it on my Discord a fair amount. I thought it was 100% Warski's fault. I think it was like I think the whole thing was 100% Warski's fault. 0% the other team's fault. Because like Warski was like chasing them down basically and yelling at them to like stand your ground. Stand your ground. Get back. Get back. As he was like walking towards them. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, why was he walking? Like, because he was like basically chasing them down while yelling at them to stand back. Like, what the fuck was that about? I don't know. And then Alex got arrested, and he was like the only one who was like, maybe this is a bad idea, guys. But no, yeah, I think they should have been arrested, to be honest. I mean... My biggest issue is I wish he would just marry Jade. Like, just make her his waifu. And then things would be better. Let's see here.
Spring opens many opportunities.
Land development. Okay, improve commerce income, and let's see, choose a reform. Taxation from peasantry, good. Oh, Jim married Jade? Oh, I hadn't realized that. Oh, okay, well, congrats on that. I had never actually known that. That's great. Okay, well, good for Jim. Give him 100% credit for that. I gotta give DSP credit for marrying Kat. With regards to why I haven't done a DSP video recently, I mean, I like there just hasn't been any interesting for in a while. Like I haven't really been following the guy. I haven't been watching any of the videos. Next time like some big saga happens, I'll come back and maybe do a couple videos on it, but it's like his normal stuff is just not that interesting in a lot of cases. I don't think there's any like real drama going down. So that means Phil will have to just kind of come up with some drama.
This will only end in tragedy.
To try to get through it. I don't know. I like Vox Day. Vox Day is a professional troll, but I've always liked him. Cuckservative is a really good book. I know it's kind of cringy to say it now, but it is a really good book. I don't know. I've always liked Vox Day. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I've never really gotten what the issue with him was. He is an asshole. Like I don't think anyone can deny that Vox Day is an asshole because he is an asshole. But that's kind of part of his charm. up peace and trouble us no more.
We were too generous.
Lead strongly.
I think other thing is Vox Day very obviously has autism. Like I think there's like a 90% chance that Vox Day like actually has autism.
Some things are better gained through trade.
All right, cool. I'll take that.
We agree.
All must unite.
Well, the UI is supposed to be black and white. Is supposed to be clerical because this is China, and China is a very clerical country. It's funny if anyone here has played the game Jade Empire, one of your companions is a celestial bureaucrat, because heaven is a bureaucracy in China, which I always thought was really funny. Integrate. Oh, cool! I was able to annex that.
A marriage forms strong relations.
Okay, sure.
Considered offers produce effortless pacts.
Let's see, family tree. See characters. I'm playing as Liu Bei in Three Kingdoms Total War. Liu Bei probably being the most well known of the Three Kingdoms. I guess maybe no Cao Cao. It's either Cao Cao or Liu Bei. I guess is kind of the only people a Westerner might know from the Three Kingdoms period. Now, Cao Cao's name, I've heard so many different pronunciations. I've heard Tao Tao, I've heard Cow Cow, and I've heard Cao Cao. This game pronounces it Cao Cao. I always thought it was Cow Cow, or something like that.
Not possible.
Cao Cao. One of the interesting things about China is how stable most of the dynasties have been. I know it doesn't really seem that way, but most countries that have dynasties, they don't last very long. But Chinese dynasties lasted a very long time. The part of the world that has the most stable dynasties is Europe. I mean, depending on how you want to call it, you could argue that France had basically one dynasty for the entire post Charlemagne, from like because you had the Capetians, then Valois, then the Bourbons, then the Orleanists, and they were all kind of just members of the same dynasty. Do incels have legitimate grievances, or are they just trying hard, not hard enough, or the knowledge they need? Okay, so incels. So, are incels right that modern women have been like actually been made much worse people as a result of feminism. Yeah, they are 100% right. That is a completely legitimate grievance. That is an issue. The sexual market has been there has been a lot of distorting forces in the sexual market. The relationship between men and women has changed a lot. Fake rape accusations are a big thing, etc. Although if you look at a lot of incels, it's not even like they don't have game. It's not even that they aren't approaching women. A lot of them are just fucking weirdos. And when I say weirdo, I mean like they're just not pleasant people to be around. They seem like the kind of people who would like they just seem creepy. Like a lot of them just seem like they're really like unpleasant, strange, odd people. I guess is kind of the thing with a lot of that sort of thing. Like the incels I know, because I know a number of people who are incels, and in most cases it's because they're just really like I said, they're just kind of weirdos. Like it's they act like really creepy around women. A lot of them feel very entitled. A lot of them just I don't think behave in a very like pleasant fashion to be around. And I can't really blame women for finding them creepy or odd. Like there are a lot of people who get fucked over by women and a lot of things like that. But it's true. Elliot Rogers never asked a woman out. Like people for some reason call me an incel. I don't really get how I'm an incel. I've never had anything resembling a relationship, but that's just because I haven't really just placed a priority on it or really tried. So it's I don't have any like that's not women's fault. I don't feel I'm entitled to anything. If it's it's just it's a personal thing. It's if I had gotten like fucked over a bunch by women, then maybe that would be a legitimate reason, but it's not their fault. So I don't have any ill will towards women. Like I have ill will to a lot of like femicunts, but I don't have the general ill will that a lot of people do. I don't know, like a lot of men are really shitty people. Like don't forget about that. Men have been fucked over by like there's a lot of shitty stuff males do because of postmodernity. Just as much as women do in some ways. It's just not as obvious. But a lot of them are really fucking sleazy. If men would just adopt Volcel until marriage, they'd probably be happier. Yeah, they probably would be happier. I mean, okay, so there are some other issues with incels. Part of the problem with incels is they place their entire sense of self-worth on whether or not they're having sex, which is part of their problem. Is they're creepy about it because they're like I said, their entire sense of self-worth is based on whether or not they can stick their dick in something. And that's just not like that's not indicative to being like a healthy, well-adjusted person. It's just not. It's I mean, like let's be honest, there are just a lot of shitty people in the world who do a lot of shitty things. It's there's an Adam Smith quote I like, which I know is not really the relevant in this situation, but Adam Smith once said, "There is a great deal of ruin in a nation," and I think that's important to keep in mind because, and this is, I guess, kind of why I seem more of a progressive or I'm less of a trad than a lot of people. Because there's always shit. Every era has its own unique challenges, and every era has its own unique its own unique flaws and that kind of thing. And it's going to have them until the end of time. You can't stop the flow of history, and you can't stop degeneracy and like all these things. It's just in human nature. The thing with the current what we're living through though is it is very much unprecedented. The level at which we're going through. Or not the level, but just some of the things we're going through. Like we historically have never had anything like gay marriage. We've never had anything like I'm trying to think of something else that's just kind of unique to the current year. Feminism, like in the way we have it now, is something that I think is fairly unique. Just a lot of stuff like that I just feel is something that maybe previous generations haven't had to deal with to nearly the same extent. Like there's been horrible things in every age of human history, but a lot of the things we're facing today are just kind of completely different. I mean, even then, like there's good things and bad things. Like the murder rate is much lower now than it ever has been historically. And the murder rate's very low. You don't have people starving to death. You don't have like widespread ravaging of the population by disease. You have a lot of other nice things like labor regulations, people inspecting food. You're not getting like parasites by eating everything anymore. There are a lot of very nice parts of the modern world. And there are a lot of evil parts of it. And mass immigration through nonviolent means. Okay, yeah, that's also true. These are all good points. So you are, but it's we aren't one bad harvest away from starvation anymore. And like you can say, oh, hard times make for hard men, soft times make for soft men. But I guess just kind of, I don't know if you want to say from a utilitarian, the greatest good for the greatest number. I think there is something to be said for a lot of the advances we've made. Like people don't die of smallpox anymore. And smallpox is like one of the most horrific illnesses, I think, in human history. And the fact that we've exterminated it, I think, is a good thing. I think that chattel slavery isn't a thing anymore is a good thing. I really don't like chattel slavery.
We have finished here.
Sargon's 20-year plan to cure the common cold is like one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. Like it made no sense. And once again, like if he had just been a bit humble, like his whole I won thing was just such a douchey thing to say. Like there's nothing wrong with him going, look guys, I lost, but I think I learned a lot. I actually put in an effort. I just wanted to thank you all so much for all of your support. It means the world to me. All you guys who came out there and gave your time or money to try to help me be successful. Words can't express just how important, how great I thought that was. So just thank you. But he didn't do that. He came out and just like said, "Fuck the haters, fuck all the people who were mean to me," that kind of thing. And that's just, it's not productive. It's not productive, and like it just undermines it. It undermines what he claims to stand for. Sorry, so there's this. So sorry, what's this Sargon anime meme? Is there actually a Sargon anime, or is that like literally just a meme? Because I don't know, to be honest. It sounds like it could be real. It sounds like it could be a joke. I'm not really sure. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll have to do a stream sometime. Maybe making fun of the Sargon anime. So, what's ReZero? I don't know what that is. Anyways, guys, I think that's probably enough for the Sunday night stream. I'll do another one in a day or two. This was a lot of fun, just chilling out, answering questions, talking about anime and video games. So, just wanted to say God bless everybody. Thanks for taking part in the stream. This is Argent. We must descend.